Okay, so ecological rules. So far we have discussed how different stressors are acting, how their stimuli is creating sort of physiological response at a micro level, at a macro level. So far we have discussed all of it. Now, how these ecological stresses and stressors are acting upon people, what are the rules governing it, what is the principle about it. So, that is what we are trying to study under the ecological rules. So, as we understand, ecological rules are certain principles, certain guidelines which demonstrate these interaction between the organisms and their environment in a different perspective of analysis. As in, we are trying to study human ecology again, but with respect to different perspectives, how how responses are being created at a micro level, how the responses are being created at macro level, how the changes are being visibly seen over the period of time. So, using these different perspective of analysis, we are trying to relate the interaction of an organism with their direct environment, and those principles defining those changes are what we study under the ecological rules. I'm pretty sure you will have read about it in your 12th class or in your early graduation also about these ecological rules. For this presentation, for this topic specifically, I'll be using EPG Pathshala ka document. It is very good, it is very extensive, and all these rules are clearly mentioned in your EPG Pathshala wala document. So I'll be sharing it on the common WhatsApp group also, so you can have a look, and I'm pretty sure you can easily access it through internet also, right? So these will be the rules that we'll be discussing. Today we'll be restricting to Allen's and Bergman's rules, which are very important, and these are very basic rules that all of you might have come across at certain point of time. So starting with Allen's rules first, it's an eco-geographical rule formulated by Joel S.F. Allen. It was given in 1877. He was basically an American biologist. According to this rule, and I have also mentioned, the reference of this principle has been mentioned very much when we're talking about the temperature gradient. If you remember the stressor of temperature, in the hot climate, cold climate, how your body limbs, how your trunk length is depending on what kind of exposure you're getting as a climate, right? So, according to this rule, it states that animals which are adapted to colder climates have shorter limbs and bodily appendages than animals which are adapted to warm climates. So this rule basically was identified firstly with respect to animals, and then later on its applications was identified whether this rule fits with respect to human populations or not. Okay. Now we know in cold climate the heat loss, like losing out heat, is a major issue. Like you have to reserve that heat for your other body functions, right? So that body heat is lost from your surface or your skin or anyhow. So to reduce that surface area of your body, to avoid that heat exchange with the environment, is what was attracting him as to discover this principle. So he said that lesser the surface area of your body relative to your overall total size of your body, it will lose lesser heat from its surface area, and therefore vice versa, like with respect to more surface area. Okay, so as you have lesser surface area with respect to total size of your body, lesser will be the exchange, or lesser will be the surface where the heat could be released out from to the environment. So lesser heat will be exchanged from your body to your environment, and therefore lesser heat released from your body. So that heat is conserved within your body, and therefore that was identified mostly in the colder climates. So therefore, people who are living in colder climatic conditions, they have least surface area with respect to their total overall size or with respect to the unit volume. Example we can see here in terms of animals, walruses, snowshoe hares are good example wherein you see very minimal surface area, but with respect to their volume, with respect to their size, they have minimal surface area, and therefore they are very well suited for a colder climatic conditions because that heat exchange is very limited, right? Again, with respect to human population, we see a very good example with Eskimos, and there are very good examples from tribal populations like Inuits and those who are residing in South America in very cold climatic conditions. So they also, give a very good example for tribal population or human population, so to say, residing in colder climatic condition, adhering to Ellen's principles. Okay. Therefore, this rule, Ellen's rule, it predicts that endothermic animals with the same body volume should have different surface areas than, which aids or impedes with respect to the heat dissipation from the body, right? So, for like a warm or a warm or hot climatic condition, this rule predicts the opposite. That is, if they have, those people residing in warm climatic or hot climate condition, they have comparatively higher ratios of surface area with respect to their volume, as low surface area to volume ratios generally overheat, right? Because more is the surface area, more is the area available for that heat or for that energy to release out of your body. So animals in warm area should, according to the Allen's rule, they have higher surface area to the volume ratios to maximize the surface area through which they can dissipate the heat, right? Example, we can see very good example. Eskimos is one good example. With their shorter body build, shorter limbs. With respect to, this is the picture from Maasai tribe of East Africa. They have very linear and longer body build, right? So this is a very good example that you can cite for how climatic conditions are playing role in terms of the body physiology with respect to their surface to volume ratios. Okay. Now these are the Eskimos who, right, so these were the Eskimos and the Maasai tribes. Now this another example is of Quechua tribe of South America, Peru. Now what you see there is basically people who are residing in higher altitudes. With respect to people who are residing in lower altitude regions, you can see the physiological variations with respect to these populations itself. Within one country, you see people or the populations residing in higher altitude, and with respect to people residing in lower altitude regions, they have different physiques. Plus, these facts also holds true for animals also who are residing simultaneously in the two different geographical areas. Therefore, this rule as such is called as eco-geographical rule. In fact, Bergman rule is also called as eco-geographical rule now, because you are studying the interaction, studying the association or that relationship of human beings with their environment with respect to their geography plus their bodily, their physiology, their physiques, so to say, right? Next, coming to the Bergman's rule, this was named after a German biologist, Carl Bergman. Although he was not the first person to identify this rule, what he said was, in 1847, he described the physiological differences in organisms with respect to their climatic conditions. So far, it does appear similar to with respect to Ellen's rules also, right? According to this rule, the geographical areas of a species possessing smaller body size are found in warmer regions, and race with larger body size are found in the cooler regions. Now here, what the rule or the principle is saying, with respect to the body size, we can identify where it is belonging from. So far, the statements say so, isn't it? With respect to Allen's rule, we are saying within one geographical area, you have a given physical characteristics. Here what we are saying, if you are having physical characteristics, certain physical characteristics, then probably you are belonging to certain geographical variations. Okay, that variations is quite depictable from your physical characteristics. According to this law, in the colder area, there is a lesser surface area with respect to volume ratio. So here you are talking about the mass of body, as in your body volume, so to say. In colder area, people are generally more heavier. They have a heavy sized body, or they are quite massive in their structure. With respect to people who are from warm climates, there's a more surface area with respect to the volume ratio. Therefore, their body is quite lean or more lighter body. So therefore, what we can conclude here is that principle is stating sort of association of colder climate with a higher body mass, right? More is the climate, more is the cold, as in lesser is the temperature, more is your body mass. More is the temperature, lesser is your body mass. Now here body mass is not specifically determined, whether is it with respect to your muscle mass, whether it is respective to your bone density, or how is it. But I think it is with respect to muscles and subcutaneous fat, because that comes as a response to the colder climatic condition and the warmer climatic condition, right? Example, very good example of this is the polar bears. And in terms of human populations, we see the Inuits. These are the tribal population that belongs to regions from the colder climate, definitely, like regions of Canada, in US they are there, in Alaska, then in Denmark you can see them, in Greenland you can see them. So these are very common examples of tribal population from colder climate. Another good example is Inuits. Now they are from Northern America. Again, they exhibit the similar traits of people having a physiological, having a certain physique from colder climates. And the third being the Sami population from Norway. These population are basically considered, now they are higher altitude populations. So with respect to mid latitude population, like near the equator, what you see, that population is, I mean, these populations, what I have shown the pictures of, they are quite heavier than people who are residing almost in the mid latitude regions. So also, along with Bergman's rule, they're also adhering to Allen's rule, because they're having shorter limbs, broader trunk. Now with respect to Bergman's rule, they are quite massive with respect to the surface area to volume ratios. So all of these are basically good examples of Bergman's rule. Now, there was one critique with respect to Bergman's rule. In 1986, there was a study given by Valerius Geist. He claimed that this principle was false. How so? He found that the body size, how can you attribute that body size just to the climatic condition? If you remember, in my one session, I have talked that there was a documentary wherein, I don't remember exactly the place, it was somewhere in Korea, almost it was almost outskirts of Korea. It was extremely cold, and there was just one family residing there, because rest of the inhabitants have either migrated or they have failed to survive. So what they were doing is, they were waiting for their animals. They were pastoralists. They were waiting for their animals to, either survive and nourish them, like provide them the food, or they were waiting for them to reach like at a point where they are almost going to die, and they can kill them for their survival. So that was the extreme condition. Now, how do you attribute just the climate to their body physique? That could be also the lack of availability of food, lack of proper resources, or things like that. So what he particularly said, that this body size is proportional to annual productivity of food grains, pulses, and also the availability of food per person during a growing season, right? So all these resource availabilities or resource inavailability, so to say, they act as a major constraint on the survival success of any organisms, including the humans. So also for the animals, like in that case particularly, they were not able to go for grazing of the grasses, and there were not fodder available to them. If at all fodder was available, they have to migrate to the markets that was very far. They were almost like very much outskirts. Nobody was in the vicinity of that frame. So it's very hard to have a good food availability. So that could be one reason for not having able to get a good body physique, which was a major critique to Bergman's rule, right? So this is one thing very important. So yeah, this is about the Allen's and the Bergman's rule for today. Okay.